Sure.
All right. Well, first of all, thank you everyone for coming this evening to our Zoom. This is our first Zoom together. I'm Denise. I'm the store manager at your Warson Woods Wild Birds Unlimited. And I love working here and I love the birds. I have lots of feeders and I love to watch the birds and feed the birds. So it's a great hobby of mine. So it's great to have a job that not only do I get to make money, but I get to uh, have fun with my hobby as well. I'd like to introduce you to Niki. Niki is our new assistant manager.
Hello.
And Niki's been here a couple of months now. And I'm going to let Niki tell you a little bit about herself.
All right. Hello.
Hello.
I'm Niki. I've been working here since March and I love it. It's great. A little bit of background. I just really like nature and the outdoors. I've always done like little side missions of animal rescue. They always seem to find me since I was a kid. I'm super into herbs. I'm actually working on a master's in clinical herbalism right now. Super into just gardening and nature, like all natural, organic, no chemical. Try to eat only fresh food, garden fresh, all that. So it's super important to me. Treating Mother Earth with care, she gives back. And then by that point, like we're also doing good for our environment, which is being torn apart by chemicals and just the fact that there's so many buildings and all that. Anyways, I can go on a long time because it's super important to me. But I digress. Nature.
Yeah. Well, thanks, Niki. So we hope that we bring you all some great information tonight. So tonight we're going to be talking about 7 simple actions that you can take, that we can all take to save our songbirds. And why is this important? This is important to us because in 2019, scientists documented in North America that we have lost nearly 3 billion songbirds since 1970. So that's just a crazy amount. And, you know, we love our songbirds and we want to do everything that we can to make sure that we are helping them. So the changes can be very simple, everyday things that we can do. And we're going to go over these 7 simple actions this evening. And yeah, so we will start with the first one here. And let's see, where to go with it. Okay, there we go. Action 1, making our windows safer. And the reason why we want to do this is because whenever birds see a reflection, it will look like the sky continues on. And so they can't tell where the sky ends, where the trees end. So we have to do things so that they're not seeing their reflections and thinking that the habitat's going on. So if you've ever heard a bird hit your window or found a bird laying underneath your window, this is why that happened. And one of the ways that we can take care of that, there's a couple of simple things. Some of them are as simple as just pulling your shades down during the day, where they won't see that reflection. Another way that we can help is to use bird tape to make patterns, and that's so that the birds will see the patterns of the tape and they will know that that is not just the habitat going on. That's one of our really big sellers, and everyone comes in every year, is our window alerts. And we have these in several different patterns. They can be very pretty. This is butterflies. So this is what this looks like. You get 4 of these. You put these on the outside of your window, and you really can't see them from the inside of your window. They're almost like see-through, and you can see on this slide here how it looks. But the birds will see the ultraviolet and they will know, okay, this isn't the way to go. I do want to remind you that you should change those about every 6 months because they will wear out almost like every season. And that seems to be whenever most birds will start hitting windows, is when our seasons change. So, spring and fall, when the birds are starting to migrate, that seems like the key time when the birds will hit the window. Another thing that you can do is we sell this UV liquid, and it's almost like a bingo dauber, if you will. And you can just put dots all over your window. And again, you'll be able to see right through it, but the birds will see that ultraviolet. And that can protect the wild birds from your window. Um, you could also, at night, it's important to, during migration, to turn your lights off if you can, or pull your shades down, because sometimes when birds see the lights, again, that will be confusing to them and that can cause them to hit buildings and hit windows. So that is one of the very easy ways that we can, take care of protecting the birds from hitting the window. If they happen to hit a window, there is a place that's in St. Louis that we are partners with, and it's called Wild Bird Rehab. And they actually rescue injured songbirds. So if you do find an injured songbird, you can call them and take the bird there, and they will rehab the bird and release it. So there are ways that, if that happens, um, you have someone to call. And a lot of times the birds will just be stunned and they just need to sit for a little bit and then they will take off. Action 2 is really important. It's keeping your cats indoors. um, we love pets and we love our kitties, but it's really important to keep them inside because every year um, 2.6 billion birds are killed by cats that are left outside. Another reason to try to keep your cats indoors are that indoor cats live longer. Their health, and I mean, they can live double or triple sometimes longer by being an indoor cat. um, it's in cats' natures to hunt, and when they see a fun little bird hopping around, they just want to play. And so they're not doing it to necessarily try to kill it. They just think it's a fun toy. So really, we want to stress the importance of trying to do that. Um, if you happen to have um, feral cats in your area, another way that you can help deter them away from getting the songbirds is to put like that small gardening fencing that you see sometimes around flower beds. Put that around your feeders, because that few seconds longer that it takes the cat to jump over that little fence, that will give the songbird maybe just enough time to get away. So that's another way that you can kind of slow that down if you have feral cats in your area. Another fun thing you can do if you have an indoor cat that loves to play outside is create a catio. And you can do it with chicken wire. You can do it, if you have a screen porch, just let the kitties out. And we all know that the cats just love to watch the birds. So that's a great alternative. Also, something else that we sell a lot of that people love are window feeders. And they will put window feeders up on their windows so that the cats can watch the birds. And, um, you know, that's something to keep your kitty entertained with, keeping the songbird safe as well. You can train your cat to walk on a leash. There are people that do it, and I actually just saw someone walking their cat on their leash a couple of weeks ago, and it was really cute. So, there's different things you can do. All right, and Nikki's going to talk about our action number 3.
All right. I'll do that. All right. So, an important thing is native plants and reducing your lawn. Everyone loves their lawn. I've worked in garden centers, and people take very, very much pride in their grass and their lawn. There's a lot of yes and no's with having a yard. One is reducing your grass and planting more native plants. Grasses don't provide much food. They don't provide much shelter for birds or even other critters. And a lot of grasses people treat with chemicals, which are also damaging to our ecosystem in terms of, you know, insects, which are food for birds, caterpillars, which will turn into pollinators, stuff like that. Um, and it's just kind of sad that a lot of really beautiful, lush native plants just get ripped out in terms of like putting new homes in, when we can just put a new home in and still have like native plants that are going to draw our native insects and our birds and like all of our critters to create the ecosystem that we should have and that will make a better just all around earth for everyone that lives here. um, Next slide, please. um, so a lot of plants that we do have in our yard, unfortunately, are not native. They've been brought here for so long that people think that they're natives, and unfortunately, they're not.
Like hostas?
Yes, like unfortunately, hostas are not native. Um, I have a weird thing with hostas is because they are kind of like full. They can provide the shelter that uh, birds and other little animals need, but they don't really produce homes or a safe spot for insects and like moths and caterpillars to have their eggs and larvae and turn into what they're supposed to. Um, so if you plant native plants, what that is going to do, it's going to provide one, our native insects a spot to live, to eat, and then that in turn will draw our birds. And then there will be more birds because they're used to eating native food. You can't take something from somewhere else and say, okay, hey guys, you're native to this area, but here's this new food source. It doesn't work like that. They need what their own, I guess, bodies really are used to and what makes them reproduce and keep living and surviving. Um, Plus, native plants. Sorry, I can go on forever about
That's okay.
planting natives and gardening. Um, Missouri specifically has very, very clay soil. So, what's really good about it planting native plants, you don't have to do much work to them because they're used to like our weird weather systems. Like it's cold one day, hot the next, like our weird clay soil. They're like, I'm fine with that. I'll let my roots grow long and deep. Whereas non natives will not have healthy root systems. They can take over. And then a lot of non natives also spread their seed like way far, and that just creates more and it takes out the native plants that we need. And then they just kind of also bring diseases that our natives can't fight off. So it's just kind of destroying like the plants and our animals and our birds. So what I say is tropical plants indoors, native plants outdoors, and then you get the best of both worlds. And then um, if you're interested in finding out like, do I have native plants? Maybe I want to plant more. Maybe I want to take out some of my yard and plant more native plants in it. These are some really good websites. The Missouri Native Plant Society, the National Wildlife Federation. It's great. They have super easy lists that go down from like really common non-natives and non-native invasive species that you probably don't even know that aren't native, and they'll tell you like, oh well, instead of this, try planting this. It's a super good resource, and I really encourage everyone to at least take a peek at it. Even if you just plant some native perennials, you're going to provide a lot more food for your birds. Um, just some quick examples of perennials. Goldenrod, aster, and sunflower both provide super high levels of caterpillar species. Like goldenrod itself has 115.
Wow.
Our oak trees provide 557. And that combined with a non-native that provides 0, I just, that's plant native. That's really all I can say. And there's like shrubs, and then like you can even do stuff specifically for pollinators like aster and milkweed. Those are both very common, both native, both provide a lot of like pollen just for like our bees, our moths, our butterflies, and hummingbirds really are attracted to like lobelia and iris and like stuff like that.
And caterpillars are a great source of nutrition for our birds.
Yeah, so
You know, the chickadees, they eat 400 to 500 caterpillars, or they need that to feed their babies or brood.
yeah, like every year.
Right. So,
Yeah, and like common invasives, calorie bear, also known as the Bradford pear, bittersweet, birding bush, honeysuckle, provide nothing and actually do more damage to our ecosystem than what I feel like is their beauty. Then yeah, so you can actually create a wildlife habitat in your outdoor space. I'd be happy to talk to anybody about how to set this up, show them maps of how to set up their backyard. You can get it certified through the Wildlife Habitat or
And-
National Federation.
right.
Tongue-tied. The National Wildlife Federation. There we go. It's all really easy steps too. Food, water, cover, a safe place to raise their young, and sustainability. That does not seem that hard to do. It's
Right.
very easy. Once you have it set up, it just all kind of works together, and then you have a thriving ecosystem. I'd be happy to talk to anybody more about that, or you can just check it out on their website.
Yeah, and this is the Wildlife Federation is, we are partners. I myself got my yard certified. As Niki said, it's really simple to do, and it's great because again, you're doing what we need to do to save our songbirds. So, as Niki said too, we're more than happy to help anyone get started on that.
All right. Pesticides. This is a big one for me, especially being an herbalist. Just putting chemicals in your body. Like, if you don't want chemicals in your body, why would you want to put it in your yard? Why would you want to feed it directly to the insects, directly to the birds? Because those are going to go hand in hand. If you spray harmful chemicals on your yard, your birds are going to die or get really ill. That's fact, hands down. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. It's going to happen. We use pesticides to, one, get rid of pests. I get that. But if you have pests, then if they're native, your birds will come eat them, as well as bats. Bats are not scary. Bats do not carry diseases. Bats are our friends. They're our nighttime protectors. They're our nighttime pollinators. They eat so many mosquitoes. They do so much wonderful things. And I cannot stress enough, bats are our friends. I love them. They're great. But yeah, you spray pesticides on your garden. Like, would you go outside to like your garden, say you're growing tomatoes, and like spray harmful chemicals and then go pick it up and feed it to your family? No, you wouldn't. And that's basically what we're saying to our plants and our critters, is that I don't really value you as much as I value myself. And to me, that's very heartbreaking.
And even the pests that don't die, they're going to get poisoned, and as the birds eat it,
the birds will eat it, and the
right.
birds will ingest the poison from
Right.
the insect, and in turn they can get sick. And
it's not safe for us either.
No,
for
it's
us
really
or
not.
For our kids too.
Like, we're playing in the grass, our children play in the grass in
Right.
the garden. It's, to me, it's just an issue.
No.
Yeah, even if it's on seeds, they can still get contaminated from it.
Mm-hmm.
There are ways to organic farm. You can go buy containers of ladybugs and mantids, and release them into your garden, and they'll take care of a bunch of pests for you. When you have like a full lush garden, it's going to attract ladybugs and mantids. You know, it's a whole chain. Smaller bug gets eaten by a bigger bug, eaten by a bigger bug, eaten by a bird. So yeah, that's how nature works, and that's okay. If you can purchase organic food, it's more expensive, but it's so much more worth it. It's helping yourself, helping your health, and helping our earth. It's not treated with chemicals. And one really sad fact is that if you have a farm or a garden and you have not been doing anything organic, and you're like, I'm going to switch to organic gardening, it will take 6 years to get your soil from the level of just chemicals that run off, get sprayed on, to being organic. 6 years.
Wow.
That is a very, very long time. And that should just show you how harmful pesticides are to everything. There are organic ways. There are friendly ways to get rid of things. Cayenne pepper, that's natural. You can sprinkle that in your garden. Cinnamon is a good antifungal. You can sprinkle that in your garden. There are places that you can find like organic pesticides as well. And it's more pricey, very much more worth it.
Right. And I forgot to add, if you all have questions as you're hearing us talk tonight, please put your questions in the chat. And at the end of the presentation, we're going to go through and we'll answer your questions. I forgot to mention that, so I'm mentioning it now. All right.
All right. Bird-friendly coffee. I love coffee. I drink a lot of coffee here. So a lot of people don't know is that coffee can be grown in the shade. It does not need sun. Some people think it's much easier to grow. We carry it. This is delicious. Ground, unground. We have all different flavors according to color.
Birds and beans.
Birds and beans. So in order to plant coffee trees in coffee fields, unfortunately, a lot of forests have been cut down to do this because they want the full sun. This in turn cuts down our ecosystem. It takes away homes from birds and other critters, and it also takes away their food source. So by drinking shade-grown coffee, you don't have to cut down a forest. You can just plant it under the canopy. And then just think about this. Okay, it's under the canopy. You have like birds, you got little critters everywhere surviving in this ecosystem. And then what will naturally happen is that, you know, animals will have their droppings, they will die off, but that will feed the soil. It's basically organic compost. So you're getting much more rich soil. You're able to have your shade-grown coffee and provide food and shelter for birds and other animals. A lot of consumers don't know that there is sun versus shade-grown coffee, and it does cost more. But once again, is it worth it to you? I'm not trying to say like you need to do this. Like you can make your own decisions. We're all adults. But yeah, like I know sometimes you're like on a road trip and you're like, I need Starbucks or I'm gonna like fall asleep, and you are not gonna find shade-grown coffee. That's fine. Don't crash your car. Drink the sun-grown coffee. You know.
But it's making these little changes.
Yeah,
like if we all just do, you know, think about little things every once in a while, then we can make some changes every day.
And like, don't forget, like our birds migrate down to where there's coffee fields.
Right.
So if they don't have a home, they're not going to come back. Right. But if they get to migrate and they're like, oh yeah, coffee fields, you're going to get the good bird juju in your coffee. So it's just providing nice little areas for them to like hang out when it's warm there and come back to us, and then hopefully bring us some coffee along the way. Yeah. So bird-friendly coffee comes from farms that provide good forest-like habitat for birds, shade-grown, canopy of trees. Great. It's also certified organic, which means they had to go through the long process of getting it tested to make sure it is organic, whether or not they had that 6-year wait to get certified. They have done it. Go them. The coffee we carry is 100% pure. It is organic. I recommend it.
It's good.
And a lot of places try to like scooch by that. you got to make sure like it has to be labeled. They can't put a fake label on it.
And we have all different blends as well. We have, like Nikki said, we have the bean, we have the ground, we have dark roast and espresso. And I can tell you from experience, it's yummy coffee.
So on to the next slide. Where can I buy it? Right
here.
I would be more than happy to tell you about coffee. I will probably be drinking some in the back as I'm talking to you about it. Curbside, grab it or not, come in the store, hang out. All right, plastic. This one I feel like we were on such a good track with, but unfortunately the pandemic has kind of threw a wrench in the plastics. I will go on to that in a moment. So the issue with plastic is that people litter. It gets thrown in the ocean. It goes into dumps. It does not do the things it needs to do the environment. Unfortunately, a lot of animals, birds, turtles will be like, what is this? It looks tasty. It's not. It's damaging to them. I think, what was it? Like a couple years ago, there was the plastic with all the sea turtles.
Right.
Yeah, like that's real. I unfortunately have seen way too much stuff when I was living in California on the beach, washed up birds, plastic everywhere, birds caught in plastic. And it's just little steps we can do.
Like even trying to use like reusable cups,
Yeah.
and now they have, the straws that are metal and that you can get anywhere. And just some of the places now are also not even giving you straws. I know that like our zoo here, the St. Louis Zoo, they don't provide straws with any of the drinks or anything. Yeah. And some of the other places that you go to now don't have straws. They're doing
sippy cups.
Yeah, like drinking spouts and things. So these are things, every little step can help really help our songbirds.
I don't have 400 years to wait for plastic to degrade.
Right.
I just don't. And I honestly don't think our earth does either. Seabirds are a huge issue with the ones that have the hardest time. They ingest it, they get caught up in it. I will say our plastic bags here are biodegradable. Mm-hmm. So huge bonus points for this store, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm. There's a special additive that will cause the bags to start breaking down. They will break down in 18 to 24 months. So that's awesome.
All right. So here's where I'm going to get on how the pandemic has hit the single-use versus reusable items. We were doing really good, I think, as people, bringing our reusable bags, having our straws, having our cups that we could just hand a barista to refill. Due to COVID, all that got taken away. We're back to using plastics. You can't bring your bags anymore. You can't give them cups anymore. That's unfortunate. I have nothing to say other than it's unfortunate, and then hopefully we can get back to using our reusable goods. If you get plastic utensils, don't just throw them away. Take them home, wash them, use them, reuse them, put them in your bag to take with you to work or a picnic, something. The 6-pack rings, I've been doing this since I was a child, and I saw something terrible I didn't need to see. Cut them all apart, mm-hmm. so that it doesn't get tangled around, a bird's neck or their stomach or anything. Even if you have to cut up your plastic straws, cut your plastic straws so that they don't do as much harm to a bird as they could. Just try to eliminate as much as you can. I know all places right now are giving you plastic utensils, plastic cups. COVID made things weird. That's unfortunate, but save them or cut them into itty bitty pieces if you can.
Or even if you don't need a bag, a lot of people here, if they get our customers, if they're only buying a couple of items, they won't take a bag at all. So that's another alternative is if you don't need a plastic bag, then just carry that out.
Or like me, I carry a very large purse.
Yes.
They don't know it's really just a reusable bag, but I shove as many groceries in it as I can.
There you go. There you go.
So yeah, that just a little bit. We don't have to be perfect. No one's perfect. Nothing is ever going to be perfect, and that's okay. But as long as you do like these little steps to make some sort of an impact, and if everyone does that, there will be a decrease in how much waste. We will see more birds coming back, less birds dying in horrible accidents with plastic wrapped around them. Just tiny little things we can do. And I know being in the Midwest, the ocean is very far away, but not when it comes to trash. We still have rivers, we still have lakes. Just every little bit counts. And that's all. That's all I'm asking is just tiny effort. Oh, this is interesting. When I started working here, I was totally stoked on this. We have bird feeders and bird houses that are made out of recycled milk jugs. I think one of them takes like 64 milk jugs to make. I read that on one of our items. I have some right behind us. They're eco-friendly, green solutions. They're great. They're durable. I mean, it's made out of recycled milk jugs, and if those things aren't going to decompose, I don't think this feeder is going to either. Yeah, 6 to 64 milk jugs and plastic bottles.
And they have a lifetime guarantee, so that's awesome too.
Yeah, better. It's kind of cool. It's like you're taking the waste that we're leaving nature and making something beautiful out of it to give back to nature. It's like, hey, I'm just going to take this trash and I'm going to make something awesome. And then it's not going to sit in a dump. It's going to be able to sit in your yard and do something good. It's going to be able to feed your birds. Right. Sorry, I could actually talk all day about habitats and gardening and all that, but I'm going to give it back to Denise.
All right.
Thanks, I need to catch my breath for talking. I get amped.
Thanks, Niki. So our last action is action number 7, and it is about citizen science. And citizen science is really just being observant and reporting those findings. And we'll talk a little bit about how to do that. In the late 1800s, the early 1900s, we had a bird that was called the passenger pigeon, and there were billions of passenger pigeons. And what happened was through habitat loss, through different things getting torn down to have houses built and things like that, passenger pigeon is now extinct. The last one died in 1914. And these passenger pigeons are not the pigeons that we see today, which are our rock pigeons. But it's a real problem. And when we talk about, 3 billion songbirds being gone since 1970, this is a real issue. And this, everything we're talking about are ways that we can stop that decline. And one of those ways is, like I said, being a citizen science. So we partner with the Cornell Lab of Ornithology in a couple of different things. There are something that's called the Backyard Bird Watch, the Christmas, like on Christmas Day, they do a 24-hour bird watch, and that's really neat to do. But just seeing the different birds in your area and reporting that, this is going to help scientists know, are our birds, are they on the upswing, or are they still declining, and what can we do about that? The different ways to report that are through eBird. And again, like I said, the Great Backyard Bird Count. eBird is free to use. It's a free app. You just go to your app store and you download it. And then you can create your own page. And on your own page, you're going to put your zip code. You can put your address, and you will report what birds you see. And what's really cool about eBird is that you can go on eBird and you can look like, for instance, we were talking about the hummingbirds. Who has saw hummingbirds in my zip code? So when you go on eBird, you will see the different birds that have been sighted in your area, and you also record the birds that you've seen. So not only is this cool to see other birds and to report yours, but it's a way, again, to help science discover where the densest population of birds are in our area and what can maybe be done. I myself, again, like I said, I am an avid bird feeder. I have probably, I don't know how many, 6 or 7, 8, 24 bird feeders, and I just love it. I get so many birds. Bluebirds. I had the rose-breasted grosbeaks a couple weeks ago, and not only does that give me joy, but I can come into work and I can share that knowledge with my customers. Like, this is what I do. For instance, the starlings. This is something I'm doing. I'm feeding straight sunflower chips, and guess what? Starlings don't like them, but who does? Everyone else. Yesterday, I filled my tray with sunflower chips, and within 5 minutes, I counted 7 different species of birds. Um, the red belly woodpecker, the cardinal, the finches, the bluebirds. So by doing things like that, not only are we attracting the birds, but we are helping science. And again, we are happy to help you with learning how to do eBird. Merlin is another great app in helping you identify the birds. We also carry the Birds of Missouri book, which is great in helping you identify the birds. Right. So these are some of the ways. And like I said, you can either come into the store and we will show you how to do that, or you can go onto our YouTube page, and our YouTube page is WBU on the fly. And there is a tutorial on there that will help you learn how to use your eBird and your Merlin app. And like I said, we love to help you with any of that stuff. And we love to do things like that as well. So I think,
question and answer time?
yeah, it's question and answer time. So if anyone has any questions, you can put them in the chat for us, and we will see if there's any questions in there yet. Not yet. You may not have any questions, and that's okay too. If you think of questions later on, you're also more than welcome to either email us at the store, or you can go on our Facebook page and you can put your questions there. You can call us at the store. Come in, show us your pictures, ask Niki about any kind of plants. She's our plant lady.
I can also help you gather herbs for certain ailments.
Right. And, and she's also really, she's getting into feeding the birds as well. So that's what kind of happens. We're all a very small part of this great big world. And, I think it's important that we all do our part, no matter how little, how big, like you all are doing your part by being here tonight. So, if anybody, do you have anything else you want to add, Niki?
I don't know. I will say composting. It's a great way to, one, get rid of your food that you've forgotten about, like I sometimes do in my fridge. And two, make your soil richer, get more bugs. Some cities, I don't think allow it. I know the area I lived out in Oakland made us stop composting. The apartment I have here, I throw all of our old fruit and veggies out into a pile that's in a shrubbery.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I've gotten catbirds on it now.
Cool.
I've gotten some robins picking around at it, some cardinals picking around my fruit.
Right.
It's gathering a lot more birds than my seed.
Right. And it's real important too, like as you're gardening, if you have what you feel are weeds or overgrowth, let that go as long as you can, or have like an area, a corner of your yard, because not only is that that's great cover for our birds, and
Yeah, they like taking shelter.
right, they like to take shelter not only from the weather but from other predators, so that's something real important to remember to do as well. So since we don't have any questions this evening,
There's two.
oh, where are you at? Oh, she said we have a couple of questions, Casey. Oh, okay. Casey said, you all are awesome. Thank you for doing this. Thank you, Casey. Casey is one of our valued associates who is an avid bird watcher herself and does great uh, with all of her things. What's your favorite native plant to have in your yard?
That's a tough one for me. One, because I can't plant anything in my yard because I do not own my yard. But if I had a choice, I would definitely have an oak tree just because of the food that it provides. And they're really pretty. I like asters. I like a lot more like perennials. Goldenrod. Sunflowers are like big and pretty. And
Rudbeckias.
Yeah.
The sunflowers. I love those.
Yeah. There's one called the Russian mammoth.
Yeah. What's really cool about what I think is really cool about the sunflowers, the rudbeckia, is whenever the blooms fall off in the fall, is in the goldfinches will come up and eat the seeds. So that's another great way to feed the birds without, with actually from the flowers. Great question, Casey. We have a question. Did we participate in the St. Louis Birdathon? We did.
Team Cuckoo.
Yeah, the Warson Wood Cuckoo. So we all did, and our pictures will be coming soon. We've all got some pictures that we've taken, and some of us participated just in our yard. Others participated by going out. And what this was 24 hours that we all observed birds and reported them and recorded what we saw. I know the one day that I watched, I had 15 house finches in my yard. That was one of the things that I had, but we had several others. And like I said, we will have pictures this week. I even have those doggone starlings. I have the best picture of a starling feeding its babies.
It's really cute.
It's a really good picture. It's really cute, but yeah, they're birds too. And
yeah, I mean, in my yard, they got to eat.
Right.
It's free for all back there.
Right. So even, the days that I'm feeling very aggravated with the starlings, I'll look at that picture of the babies. I'm like, it's kind of cute. So yes, we will definitely in the next coming week, you will see pictures and hear our stories of all the beautiful birds that we all got to spot.
Yeah, I just want a Carolina wren. I don't feel like that's too much to ask. Apparently it is for my yard. And I want to see little babies fledging. Yeah. All my friends have little bird's nests around their houses, and they're like sending me pictures.
Yeah.
Yeah. Why don't I have it? I'm the bird lady.
And I just had 2 Carolina wren, and the pictures. The nest was built in a lawnmower bag in my shed, and there was 2 baby Carolina wrens, and I saw them yesterday in my yard, and they were actually following a robin around who was finding a worm. So the robin had a worm, and these Carolina wren babies are following it around like, okay, where did you get that? And I had some mealworms, and I threw some mealworms to them, and they loved it. So every little thing helps.
It gets kind of like Pokemon,
right?
You got to catch them all,
right?
Oh that one. Man, okay, finally, I got that titmouse. But where's this Carolina wren? This is my yard. I'm just like, where is it?
Right. So anyway, we do have a good. we have a good time, and we definitely enjoy um, doing our part and having a good time doing it. Bird watching is not the nerdy thing it once was.
Also, be careful when you ride your bike while trying to watch birds, because I ran into a tree on Thursday.
Yes, be careful. So do you have anything else to add, Niki?
No, because I could really just talk about plants and gardening all day. So
Right.
I digress.
So Niki's doing really great, and we're really happy that she's a part of our team here. She definitely adds a spark, and is helping our customers. Our customers really enjoy having Niki as well. So we look forward to seeing you all in the store and answering any questions you have. And we thank you again for being here this evening. And we also thank you for doing your part in helping save the songbirds.
Yes, thank you. Sorry if I talked really fast and rambled. I do that.